Mysterious Antarctica is located at such latitude that it has a type of climate that humankind has never encountered. Here the strongest winds blow, and this is the place of grandiose snowstorms. The wind lifts the snow off the ground and blows at about 300 kilometers per hour, creating fog with almost zero visibility. Winds prevailing in Antarctica are called katabatic. Their peculiarity is that they blow from the center of the mainland to the coast, and thus, as it were, roll down. Central Antarctica remains mostly cold and dry as weather fronts do not penetrate deep into the continent. However, there are precipitations here. They fall out in the form of ice needles, the so-called diamond dust, and frost. In coastal areas, precipitation falls almost exclusively in the form of snow. It also rains on the northern islands. During the summer months, temperatures near coastal areas can range from -5 to -15 degrees. The highest temperature ever recorded in Antarctica was 19.8 degrees on January 30, 1982, at Cygnus Research Station. In the winter months, in the inner part of the continent, the average air temperature is -65 degrees, but drops to -80 are possible. The record for minus temperatures in Antarctica is -98 degrees. This is the lowest temperature ever recorded on Earth. The temperature is so low that water, when frozen, explodes into ice crystals, and destroys even steel. In general, if you throw boiling water into the air in Antarctica, it will instantly evaporate. However, some particles will turn into small pieces of ice. Compared to the western part of the continent, the eastern part is colder. The actual size of Antarctica depends on the seasons. During winter, the size of the continent doubles. This is due to the thick ice sheets that form along the coast during the winter months. Antarctica is inhabited by people throughout the year, they are all explorers. In summer, their number reaches a maximum of 4,000, and in winter it is reduced to 1,000 people. In addition to explorers, the continent is not inhabited by people, there are no indigenous people in Antarctica. The first person to be born in Antarctica was the boy Emilio Palma. It happened on January 7, 1978. In Antarctica, you can find an ATM, there are even two of them. Both ATMs are provided by Wells Fargo Bank. Antarctica has been assigned an Internet top-level domain, .aq, and a telephone prefix of +672. There is a hole in the ozone layer over Antarctica. This is the largest known hole, about 25 million square kilometers in size, more than twice the size of all of Europe. Therefore, there is almost nothing to protect against solar radiation, and you can get a burn. Despite the harsh climate, the tourist flow to Antarctica is growing. The International Association of Antarctic Tour Operators said that 20,000 tourists visited the continent in 2011, subsequent years show an increase in this number. People are interested in visiting the deserted and mysterious mainland. They admire the majestic icebergs, see the animals, and enjoy the silence of the eternal ice. There are interesting places in Antarctica that attract the attention of tourists. One of the most famous tourist attractions in Antarctica is Deception Island, which is a caldera of an active volcano. This is the place where people come to enjoy the hot springs. Every year, an event called the Antarctic Ice Marathon is held on this continent. Participants need to run about 40 kilometers. Dogs are not allowed on land or ice shelves in Antarctica. That is recorded in the appendix to the Protocol on Environmental Protection, to the Antarctic Treaty. This was done to prevent the spread of other types of diseases and parasites. Some states tried to take possession of Antarctica. For example, Australia claims to own 5.8 million square miles of the mainland. In 1977, a pregnant woman was sent to Antarctica by Argentina. The purpose of this event was to take over part of the continent. However, in accordance with the Convention on Antarctica, signed on December 1, 1959, Antarctica does not belong to any state. Despite the harsh climatic conditions, there are animals and plants in Antarctica. Among the animals on the mainland there are sea leopards, crab-eater seals, elephant seals, skuas, and penguins. In the waters of the Southern Ocean, you can see sperm whales, killer whales, and blue whales. The rocky shores of the continent, as well as the offshore islands, are used by millions of birds each year as nesting sites. It takes place during the spring season. The main birds that nest there are terns, gulls, petrels, and albatrosses. The Antarctic fauna of arthropods, taking into account the coastal Antarctic islands, is at least 130 species. Of the invertebrates on the continent, there are microscopic mites, lice and rotifers. Insects of Antarctica, wingless midge belgica antarctica. There are absolutely no reptiles and ants in Antarctica, although the latter are considered one of the most successful colonizers. There are also no polar bears on the mainland. They can only be found in the Arctic. Antarctic animals are completely dependent on the coastal ecosystem of the Southern Ocean. Due to the scarcity of vegetation, all significant food chains of coastal ecosystems begin in the waters surrounding Antarctica. Antarctic waters are especially rich in zooplankton, small crustaceans, and primarily krill. Krill, directly or indirectly, is the basis of the food chain for many species of fish, cetaceans, squid, seals, penguins, and other animals. It is believed that krill is the most common animal species on the planet, with a total biomass of about 500 million tons, which corresponds to about 350 trillion individuals. The plant world of Antarctica is not rich. There are many factors that contribute to this. The continent has a low temperature, and there is not enough moisture, the quality of the soil is poor, and there is little sunlight in winter. Therefore, any plants in Antarctica is a miracle. You will not see any bushes or trees here. The vegetation of the mainland is presented in the form of mosses. It is also known about two flowering plants, this is Colybanthus quitensis, and Deschampsia antarctica. There are 1,150 species of fungi recorded on the continent, of which more than 400 are lichens. Many of these fungi live inside rocks. They were developed under extreme conditions, and played a very important role in the formation of rocks, in the McMurdo Dry Valleys. The continent is also home to hundreds of species of algae. Most of these algae are phytoplankton,